Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. Hit us up on Twitter at KDPomp, at The Pony Express. Andrew Fillipponi up at 93.7 The Fan on a day that baseball announced 3. Normally it's 0 or 1 guys into their Hall of Fame, and no surprise, I think, on any of these selections. Certainly Billy Wagner last year got close to 5 votes away. He got in this year. And then you have Ichiro Suzuki, which is a slam dunk. It's a shame somebody not voted for him. Of all the people, how do you not vote for this guy? Andrew, after he came here and hit 3,000 hits starting at age, I think, 27, after a really good start to his career in Japan. And then, of course, CC Sabathia. Having any problem with any of that?
Not really. I mean, it's tough when you get up here and you try to shoot down or pick holes in really good careers. Sometimes I feel guilty doing that on a night where these guys get kind of the baseball immortality, and it feels kind of lame to do that to people. But honestly, Bob, without combing through the entire bracket, again, I will say it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me that guys like Alex Rodriguez are not in the Hall of Fame, and yet Billy Wagner is. Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame, but Billy Wagner is. Billy Wagner's job was to get only 3 outs at the end of the game, and he was pretty good at it. He was not Mariano Rivera level good. I would say he was among the best in baseball. He wasn't Trevor Hoffman. He wasn't Mo Rivera. He was probably the 3rd or 4th best closer in his era. And that guy who really affected 1/9 of maybe every other baseball game is in the Hall of Fame rather than Barry Bonds. And so it's hard for me to really take these conversations seriously because I look at the Baseball Hall of Fame as a farce. And it has been for a long time. And I'm happy Dave Parker got in on the senior ballot, but even that he had to wait this long, I thought was pretty outrageous. So, yeah, I mean, you're happy for these guys because it's their careers, their life work, but that selection process has been so flawed for such a long time that it's really difficult for me to look at it objectively now, Bob.
I would agree with all those guys who were part of the steroid era, so to speak, and whatever you want to call it. They should all be in there. I've said this multiple times, just like you have. Although Billy Wagner, to me, was the best left-hand closer ever, I think. And there's a place for him in there, I believe. But I don't understand how someone could not vote for Ichiro. To me, how in the world can you not give a vote to a guy who had 3,000 hits? It's that alone, even if it took 25 years to do it. In his case, it didn't take that long because he came here at the age of 26 or 27 to start his major league career.
I mean, look, there's a lot of idiots out there, and some of them have infiltrated the Baseball Writers Association and like to do look-at-me things or try to act like they're smarter than everybody else. And this has been going on for a long time. Mickey Mantle got only 88% of the vote on the first ballot. Who were the 12% of knuckleheads who thought that he wasn't good enough? Willie Mays, Bob, had, I think the number's 24 voters didn't have him on the ballot. I mean, I'd like to find those 24 people and say, do you know that baseball is a game where 3 strikes and you're out? And that a home run means that you hit the ball over the fence? I mean, how could that many people who covered the sport on a daily basis for a long time, how could they not have viewed Willie Mays as a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. But bottom line is those 3 will get in, and congrats to them joining Dave Parker. And you're right, it shouldn't have taken Dave Parker that long to do it, but he ends up getting in. And the good thing is he's alive to see it. Meantime, real quick, I want to ask you about the Penguins last night, only because it was a late game, but it was maybe one of their best games. And I never saw it coming. Rickard Rakell's out. He's not playing. He's their leading goal scorer. They're playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, had to travel across country. It seemed to me like it was an obvious Kings kind of game. But the Penguins came up with one of their better road performances. Do you make anything into that performance last night? And can it do something beyond last night?
It's a weird quirk this season because I believe they swept the Kings. I think they beat them here as well.
Yes, they did. Yep.
And that's very odd to me because the Kings are, for me, the best defensive team in the league. And the numbers bear that out. So you think a team really that is not great at scoring goals but is average would have a hard time scoring, especially when you subtract Raquel. So they just had that team's number this year. I don't know if they've caught backup goalies in both games. I'd have to go back and look at that. But Dowdy has not played yet for the Kings all year, even though, like I said, they've been such a good team at stifling goals, even without him in with their system. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a blind squirrel finds a nut sort of thing for me, Bob, because their overall body of work is still not good enough to make the playoffs. But then again, there really aren't enough good teams in the Eastern Conference right now, and it wouldn't take much for the Penguins to get on a hot streak and get a hold of one of those playoff spots here.
On that note, we'll take a break here, Andrew. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. Want to hear from you on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, our GMC Sierra tweet of the night has to deal with Ichiro Suzuki. Jeff Passan from ESPN says didn't start until he was 27 years old, and he still finished with over 3,000 hits, 19 seasons in the big leagues before he retired at 45. Before that, 9 years in Japan. And look at those numbers there with 1,278 hits, really one of the best all time. All right, let's talk about Ben Johnson. He's the new head football coach with the Chicago Bears. There still are 4 openings, Andrew. How do you see those playing out? Because Aaron Glenn's been visiting. It looks like Dan Campbell's going to lose 2 coordinators in the same year, which is a testament to his work and his hiring ability. But how do you see the rest of this working out?
Well, the Cowboys could go any number of ways. I mean, Deion Sanders is obviously the hot name there. Is he going to do that? It sounds like he might have outgrown Colorado, having problems with getting the NIL money he thinks he deserves and needs to win there. And so Jerry Jones, always one to create shockwaves. I could actually see that happening. I really could. And then as far as the Jets go, the Jets really don't have a history of doing very intelligent things. So they're probably going to make a mistake here. Maybe it will be Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn's defense made a number of really, I thought, disappointing moves in that Washington game where they kept blitzing, and it looked like Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels had figured out a way to get the ball out fast and beat the blitz. And I didn't think an adjustment was made properly there by him. But it's only one game, although a big game. So I could see him getting that Jets job. He did play there for the Jets for a number of years. And then what else we got, Bob? New Orleans. I think New Orleans is going to hire Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, and the Raiders.
I think Greenfield's Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mike McCarthy's going to get back in. I think he's going to get back in with the Saints. And almost like an Andy Reid when he went from Philadelphia right to the Chiefs. And then the Raiders, Tom Brady's calling the shots there.
Yeah,
but then Tom Brady goes and makes $40 million a year calling games, and his agent said he's going to live out his contract, and he let it slip during the game Saturday night that the refs were doing a bad job.
Yeah,
I thought he wasn't allowed to say things like that.
That's a bad look. I thought the same exact thing, because there was a conversation that took place earlier this season where he was kind of not permitted to say a lot of things about different, including the referees, if he's going to be a co-owner, whatever you want to call him. So that's kind of weird there. I'm not so sure, but I agree with you. I think McCarthy will get back in it. We got a lot of people on the lines, Andrew, so let's get right to them, beginning with our number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night. We go down to Brentwood. Charlie joins us right now. Hello, Charlie. How are you?
Hey, gentlemen. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Number one, I hope the Bills smoke that Chiefs team. That was ridiculous, the penalties calling that Mahomes. But secondly, I want to know, Pony, you vote for the Hall of Fame for baseball. Would you have voted Pete Rose?
Would I have voted Pete Rose? That's a great question. I probably would not.
Just say yes.
No, hold on. I would not have initially, but now that baseball is working with the sports betting companies and so much of that has now infiltrated the game, I think you have to. And he's gone now too, Bob, so that's the other side of it. These guys aren't able to see themselves go in. But I think once you make that deal, and once you've kind of admitted that you need gambling to help grow your sport and monetize your sport, I think it's hard to then look at those who violated those rules as all-time pariahs and villains. I think that's kind of a hypocritical stance to take, to be honest with you.
It is. But that's the way things have gone. And I say this, my thing is, if I had to vote, I'd strictly go by, if you're allowed to play as a player, I'm judging you on what you did on the field. Whatever happened after that,
yeah.
I separate it. I'm looking at that's why Bonds was allowed to play. That's why Rodriguez, all these guys who have this, McGuire and Sosa, they were allowed to play. Baseball benefited. So therefore, you played, you helped them, you should be in. It's a simple thing for me. I don't make it any more complicated than that. But we'll see. This is going to be interesting how it moves forward now with gambling involved, as it is with everything these days. Let's go out to Josiah in San Antonio, Texas. Hey, Josiah, what's up, man?
Not much. Hey, Bob and Andrew. It hurts me to say this. Just 2 quick points. This Steelers team that I grew up watching, this is not the same Ike Taylor or James Ferrier type. Those teams had fight. They were tough. And it just seemed like they had more to play for, like they bought in. And I'm going to just say this, and I hate saying this as well. This team, Mike Tomlin, listen, we've seen the best he can do. Yeah, he'll have a shiny record. Yeah, he'll get us to the postseason. But after that, we get blown out. I mean, I just don't know what else they can do. It's just they're stuck in the middle, and they can't improve.
Well, one of the things, Josiah, that I'm a little surprised by, and I know it's still early in the process, so I'm going to say this, is they talked about change. He did specifically, Andrew, and so far we haven't seen any change other than a couple of guys being signed who you wouldn't even know. But other than that, there hasn't been any change so far. How long will that take?
10 days. 10 days, and we don't even have an assistant coaching move where somebody's contract ran out and they were told they're not coming back. And what I don't understand about the delay there is by waiting and taking your time, you are potentially losing out on the pool of coaches that are available right now because they might get other jobs. So if you're going to make a move, I think you owe it to yourself to do it quickly, expedite that, accelerate that, so you can interview as many people for the position that opens up. And you might lose out on good guys because you dragged your feet. So I'm very troubled by that. I mean, I'm also troubled by the fact that overall the Steelers' assistant coaching performance has just been so shoddy. And you look at what the Lions have done. You brought up Ben Johnson. Aaron Glenn's probably going to get that Jets job too. That would mean for Dan Campbell, he's already got 2 branches on his coaching tree.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin has 0 in almost 20 years, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a good look at all. And again, that's been one of my critiques of Coach Tomlin, is the fact that you bring in guys who you should be able to delegate a lot more responsibility to. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to get the best of the business. The guys who are out there right now who have these creative different looks, whether it's scheming on defense or offense, you got to go out and bring them in. And I thought that's how this was going to play out over the years, and it really hasn't done that. So it will be interesting to see when they make any move and what those moves are. Back to the lines we go. We have Brad in Brookline. Hello, Brad. What's up?
2 points in 2 different sports, if I may.
Sure.
I think it's a total embarrassment that the Steelers extended Tomlin last year for 3 years. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, which is a complete embarrassment, that they only, what did they do in the offseason here? First baseman and re-sign McCutchen? Ridiculous.
Yeah, well, they'll tell you, Brad, that there's stuff coming up later and free agency has changed, which to me is a bunch of just word salad. Listen, they had chances to go out and spend, and what I see the Dodgers doing every single day, they make another signing, and they also, they tie it to deferred money, which, Major League Baseball, didn't they, when the Mets brought in Cohen as their owner, didn't they have like a clause out there? Andrew, you know the Mets inside and out, because they were fearful that he was going to do what the Dodgers are doing. Shouldn't they, if baseball was so adamant about stopping Cohen from doing that, why not the Dodgers in this new way of doing business with all this deferred money?
Yeah, I wonder, as far as luxury tax dollars go, are they circumventing that by paying these guys down the road because their actual salary for this season is so low? I haven't really read into that, but that would be a loophole that I would think other teams would want to get them, more by the letter of the law here, and actually force them the money, the actual contract, and not what they're paying the player now to count against the books. Therefore, they'd have to pay a penalty for doing that. Bob, I just think The issue is that with the Major League Baseball national TV rights probably getting more money when the ratings are good, when the Dodgers and Yankees and teams like that are in there, that the small market teams are actually fine with the way it is, because when those teams win, there's more eyeballs, there's more revenue that comes in, and that means it lines their pockets. There's not enough incentive. There's not enough incentive for these small market teams to want to spend money and compete.
No, I totally agree.
They've got to change that.
And that's why Bob Nutting will never sell, because he's making money even when they don't win. So if you make money when you don't win, he's a businessman. He's probably saying, why do I need to win? The answer is because there's a taxpayer-funded stadium, and there are loyal fans who have entrusted you, and you've taken advantage of them, essentially. That's why you win, and that's why Major League Baseball should do something, whether it's a floor, whatever it takes, to get these people to spend.
And unfortunately, unlike the NFL, where Buffalo can play Kansas City and the ratings will be gigantic, even though those are two smaller market teams, if you put the Royals and Marlins in the World Series, the ratings are terrible. And it's actually bad for the sport in that regard. So that's the difference between the two. And I don't really know how baseball fixes that, Bob. The sport is just not as popular as the NFL. And the only way it gets a lot of attention is when the Cubs or the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Dodgers are competing for championships, and that stinks when you're in a town like Pittsburgh.
It does. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with more. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan.